All right, Christian. We've talked Avery Johnson before. We've had
Yeah.
our debate, so to speak, on Avery Johnson before. I've said my piece. Okay.
Okay.
Now, my opinion hasn't changed. I think Avery Johnson is a good quarterback. I really do. I was slightly disappointed last year just from the way Kansas State fans were talking about this kid. Second coming and all this. It's kind of like what OU thought about Jackson Arnold, and that didn't work out. But I would say Avery Johnson had a better year than Jackson Arnold. They're going to come after me again. But I do like the kid. I like the player. Now he is getting, I would say, somewhat legit Heisman hype here. I think if these national experts had to pick anybody in the Big 12 to win this award, it would probably be Avery Johnson. So let's just start with the very basics of it, Christian. Like, is this legit, or are we getting a little carried away?
I can see both sides of the sword here. I truly can. I am definitely drinking the Kool-Aid. I think it's solid to say for sure. I think he is what we all expected him to be. Now, look, last season, there was some ups and downs, but what first-year quarterback doesn't have those ups and downs? There's not many. There's not many that have those issues. He started very strong. He was this incomplete narrative of you have to find a way to fill the shoes of Will Howard. That's first. That's step one. Before you even step on the field, oh, by the way, you got the keys now. Will Howard went off to win a national championship for Ohio State. It's your turn now, Avery. Make that happen. And he'd had a solid start. Started the season 7-1, and then some injuries came up, some misfortunes in play calling, some inconsistencies. Wasn't the greatest when it comes to completion percentage. I'm well aware of that. And the wheels fell off against the Houston Cougars, which, again, Houston, who knows what happens with them this year. There's an interesting narrative about Avery Johnson this year. I think he put the work in this offseason. We've seen some offseason workouts and pictures of him. He looks huge. He's put on some size, and that hasn't changed the way that his speed. He's got even faster. He joined the 23-mile-an-hour club in spring camp. He's faster. He's stronger. That should help with his longevity, something that he couldn't do towards the second half of the season last year after getting injured in Colorado and just wasn't the same. And then, oh, by the way, he's finally got a consistent and more structured coaching staff with Matt Wells and Matt Wells only as his offensive coordinator, who has succeeded in the past with quarterbacks. Jordan Love, Green Bay Packers, when he was the head coach at Utah State, really excelled in the play action pass, a dual threat quarterback of Avery Johnson. Hey, count me in. So that's where my Kool-Aid drinking is. But as I mentioned, I do see both sides of the sword. The inconsistencies last year, will that continue? Could the wheels fall off again? Hey, they were 7-1 at one time. Well, they were 6-1 at one time as well when they almost lost to Kansas. They play Kansas the exact same time this season, and Kansas is looking for blood. And, of course, you got to play in Waco.
You do have to do that. Man, that is a matchup. It's one that, real quick, like a quick aside, like I don't want to say I've downplayed it. I've talked about this game a few times, but I think as Baylor fans, we look at that first month, and it is Auburn, SMU, Samford, bye week, and then Arizona State. And so you look at that, and then after that, you get Oklahoma State now on the road. Nothing's exactly given in Stillwater, but for a team that didn't win a Big 12 game last year, you're like, okay, like there it is. All right, we'll just get past that. Well, no, because then the next week you are at home, which is nice, but you're playing Kansas State, and then a bye week, and then at TCU. So it's really the first half of that season that's such a gauntlet for Baylor, but we're really looking at the first month. And back to Avery Johnson. I think there are kind of to your first point, like it was his first season starting, and there were other things that went wrong. He can become a more accurate passer. That's something that you can do year to year in college. If you aren't an accurate passer in college, you're probably not an accurate passer in the pros, but it is something that you can work on from year to year. So, we talk about the hype, and I said he's probably the only one that's getting Heisman hype from this conference. Is there anyone else you would think, just from looking around this conference, that could get that kind of buzz?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, this is the deepest quarterback conference in college football.
You got that right, Christian.
Yeah,
you got that
that's
right.
No hyperbole. That's no hyperbole. Yeah. That is facts. Hey, look, I know we're talking, crossover here. I really like Robertson. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he is a top 4 quarterback, and he's not 4 in the conference. So you can put that into how you want. And I think you could shift him anyway, 1, 2, and 3. Sam Leavitt, of course, deserves his flowers for what he did last year. And the returning talent that Arizona State is bringing back makes you wonder if they can continue and make it back to Arlington. the first team to do so since 2004, 2005 Colorado, if you're not including Oklahoma or Texas, who are no longer in the conference.
I'm not including them. They left. They're
nor
wrong.
should you. Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think those three definitely come in mind, but and I know this is probably not the greatest thing to say on a Baylor show, but man, Josh Hoover of TCU really excites me. What I see from him and what he has done, I feel like we don't talk about him enough as a conference because we talk about Avery Johnson, because we talk about Sawyer Robertson, Rocco Beck, Sam Levitt. I think Josh Hoover is going to surprise a few folks this year.
I had to ban Josh Hoover's name from the show for a little while. I was just talking about him too much, Christian. I was like, this kid's good.
Good for you. Good for you. Someone's finally doing it because I think it needs to be warranted. I know it's probably not the Baylor guy that should be doing it, but man, I think he's going to be good this year. I truly do. I don't know what to expect of TCU as a whole, though. Like I've said that multiple times on my show this entire offseason. I don't know if they're going to be 10-2 or if Sonny Dykes is going to get fired, but I will think that Josh Hoover is probably going to find a way to throw for 4,000 yards again.
This is an important point. Sam Levitt, whom a lot of people think I dump on. I don't. I just don't think he's quite as good as Sawyer Robertson. I think he's pretty close. Sam Levitt, in my opinion, looks like an animated character from a Cartoon Network show.
Okay.
Maybe even Fairly Odd Parents, which is a Nickelodeon show. Well, I look at him and I'm like, this could be so easily drawn as the jock quarterback in some Dexter's Laboratory show. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I don't know what it is, but for those of you watching and listening, just look up a picture of Sam Levitt. Look up his headshot in particular, like ESPN stats, Sam Levitt, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You will see what I'm talking about. I swear.
Sounds like we got a new side-by-side for Locked On Baylor No Context.
Look, I think we need to. I really think we need to. I don't even know. I don't know exactly what show he would be in. I'd have to really sift through. Maybe like Clone High or something. He's going to appear on there. So do you think, all right, I'll just put you on the spot before we go into third segment.
Okay.
Avery Johnson in New York?
I think he's a dark horse candidate. That is my stance.
Put your money on it on FanDuel.
I think he is a dark horse candidate for the Heisman Trophy. If what I have seen, and I know this is Rutgers, okay? I'm well aware of the opponent. But the Rape Bowl game in Rutgers, it was the first taste that you kind of had with this new roster with Matt Wells at the helm and calling the plays. Dylan Edwards was electric. The way that they ran him off tackles, his jet sweeps, the way they played Jace Brown finally, I think they're living up and trying to get to his full potential. And then they brought in these other wide receivers in the portal that bring in size, and Jaron Tibbs and Jaron Bradley, something that Avery has never seen. Quite frankly, Kansas State's really never seen is the size at wide receiver. You talk about completion percentage, having bigger wide receivers with a larger target share is going to effectively help that naturally, just in a small way. So I do think that we are going to see him excel. I think Matt Wells is going to get the absolute best out of Avery Johnson with that play action. I think we're going to see him in New York as a dark horse candidate. Do I think he wins it? I'll say no. I think you can get him a finalist. I think there'll be somebody else.
Just put him in New York. That's all I
said. Hey, if you get to New York, that's huge for the brand, and I think that happens. I'll go like this though, because, and I'll add a little more caveat to this, and because you put me on the spot to say, is there any other players that you could see in the Big 12 making it as a Heisman Trophy? I think Avery Johnson's the guy. I do. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but I'll add the stance to this. There will be at least one Big 12 quarterback in New York when it's all said and done.
Full stop. At least one. I like that. At least one. At least one. Connor Wegman. We will see you there. Nico Marchiol.
Noah
hop on in. Hop into New York.